enough. I think we got enough today. We don't need Kevin.
You're good and you're live.
We're live. Good morning, all. Welcome to the Octax Committee, October 24th, 2023. And we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 28th, 2023. Ms. Ryan. Second. Mayor Diamond, second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Pass. Moving to the floor of the public. Anybody in the public have any comments they'd like to make or? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, action agenda. You're on, lady.
Okay, this is what was also discussed at the last committee meeting. This is in regards to a resolution to amend the amount retained by Warren County with respect to administering the occupancy tax. The question in the change from last meeting was they were requesting a 3% to a 10%. The request from this meeting is a 3% to 6%. And you have the numbers if you want to read them off.
I checked that out because I think Mr. Wild asked, why 10% for the treasurer? And I went to see the treasurer and he's getting 3% now to administer all our paperwork because his office, not him. And that's $210,000 a year. He's requesting 10%, and that comes to almost 700,000. So I thought it was kind of high, and I talked to the treasurer, and we came in nearly as 6%. But that's up to this committee, and 6% would still be 420,000 of our tax money to go to the treasurer. Now I see Mr. Swan's here. If he would like to have answer any questions or tell us why that much of a change or what's going on, just so the committee, because they asked a lot of questions last time.
Well, basically, this was an idea we came up with in my office, and it was one of those, let's throw it on the wall and see if it sticks type of things. Just to see if we could help offset some of the loss in revenue in the budget. It'd be very difficult for me to justify $700 and some thousand in administrative fees, which is what money is for. It's 6%. It's a lot easier. I mean, we could very easily justify that amount of money that we spend on staff time and everything else, my time. Collecting the occupancy tax has now become a major task, especially with the short-term rentals that are involved. We went from 250 registered hotel motels to almost 2,000 registrations now, thanks to the short-term rentals. So it's quite a task to keep track of everything.
So if this is only Gene speaking, if we stayed with the 3, would it kill you for this year? Because you didn't know what's going on with this tax. We have to start.
I mean, we'd be fine with the 3. As this, like I said, this was just an idea that we came up with to maybe help offset some of the loss of revenue in the budget, especially with the bus system. Because there was some talk that this has tourist implications. So that it was a thought that we just had. Personally, if it works out, fine. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be upset.
Okay, well, that's up to the committee.
Yeah.
We're just trying to squeeze too, because we'll hear later on some things that I have to say. The spending our taxes getting carried away. We put aside, Lisa, how much we got aside? 500,000 or something for this year,
Correct.
and we're up to 8 already.
Based on 7 million.
Yeah. Based on them. So we got to start kind of bringing it back to reality. Everybody wants a piece of us. Sheriff wants a piece of us. People want a piece of us. And I think we're getting carried away. And I'm afraid that we're going to get to a point, if we have 1 year that's down a little bit, we're going to go into a lot of reserve money. That's the only reason I think I question, and I think Mayor Diamond, Mayor Supervisor Wild, he's the one that questioned. I didn't have the answer for him last month, but I got it this month. All right, thanks, Mike. So what does the committee feel?
No.
Are you
Mr. Diamond?
for a motion to
Yeah,
bring this to the floor?
right.
I like the idea of the 6%. I was okay with 10% because that was gonna bring more money into the general fund, so I guess I could be satisfied with 6%, better than 3.
Okay.
So if you need a motion.
Well, I just want to,
Okay.
how do you feel, Mr. Ross?
You've got the good handle on it. I like your thought about where it should remain and look at in the future.
It's
I agree
fine.
with that.
What's that? You're okay with what, 3?
6, I'm okay with the 6.
6 rather, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. All right, well, you want to make a motion on the 6?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to bring to the floor that we raise the administrative occupancy tax fee from 3% to 6%.
Okay, that's not, Mr. Runyon? All right,
I'll second it.
all right. Any question? I see a hand up there. Can we,
Allowed to take comment from the floor?
I don't think we're. Can we take a comment from the floor?
It's up to you, as the chair.
All right, Gary, I'll let you have it. This is an important thing. I'll let you.
Like George RV Park, I was here when the occupancy tax was enacted.
Sir, if you could go to the microphone.
Gary Thornquist, Lake George RV Park. I was here when the occupancy tax was enacted. And it was never meant to supplement the general fund in any way. It was a standalone situation. I would be certainly opposed to raising any fees to cover a budget shortfall on another county department. It was never intended for that. It was a standalone. It was not to be touched. The 3%, I think, was in the law at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe still is. So I would be vehemently opposed to any increase from 6%. I think it's certainly enough to cover the administrative costs. And any extra fees collected for the bed tax are a good thing for the bed tax, and that will generate more money, which will be in turn, the 3% of that extra money will go towards the extra administration. So I would be very much opposed to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I just
Yes.
maybe just throw some guide rails on the conversation from a legal perspective? The state statute that enacts the bed tax law does permit up to a 10% administrative fee connected with the functions of administering and enforcing the collection of the tax. So that's where that 10% number comes from. I was going to remain completely silent on 6% because what I'm hearing is there's a connection between 6% and what the treasurer states is the internal costs of collection, and those numbers are consistent. It's not money. There may be a shorthand way to write that it's money that goes to supplement the general fund, but that's not correct. The 6% would be to supplement the actions required by Warren County in imposing the tax, administering the tax, and collecting the tax. Primarily, that falls on the treasurer's office. It could fall on other departments as well. But that's the 6% from a legal perspective seems consistent with what I'm hearing are the costs to administer and collect the tax. So from a legal perspective, there's no legal objection. But it's not just to dump money into the general fund. There's a connection between that percentage and what actions the county is taking on an annual basis relating to the tax.
Thank you. We'll talk to Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Just to quickly clarify, when I took office in 2012, the administrative fee was 10%. And that's what we were collecting in the treasurer's office. I came to the board and said, that's way more than what we need to do it at that time. And it was reduced back to 3% at my request. And now, basically, because of all these other things, like I said, 6%, that $400,000, I can justify that without a problem with staff time and everything else that we're doing.
Okay, Mike, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. At an earlier committee meeting this morning, a word was used to support the request for additional monies, and that was to make sure that they were able to do their work. I've forgotten the word now, but it was to guarantee that they can get the work done that is necessary, not to increase the general fund coffers, but to make sure that, again, the work that the department, and they know what is necessary in order to get their work done. So I would encourage also 6%. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
May I add to what the attorney is saying with regards to administering? There were a lot of grants written last year, over 50 individual just for special events. That requires the attorney's office to write individual contracts. That requires our office to receive them all, follow them all, administer them all, get all the paperwork for it, and then send it to the auditor. The auditor then has to review every single paperwork that we do internally. So that's above and beyond even what the treasurer does in his office. So I do want to showcase that it's not just about, you know, what the treasurer does and maybe going back into the general fund, wherever it may lie. That 6%, honestly, if you look at those dollars and I look at the time that's spent in the attorney's office, the auditor's office, and even some other offices that help to identify or work through some of these things we go through within the contract process, it's probably well above the 10%. But the 6% is a nice number to start at. But we will follow whatever the committee does. Just want to make sure you had those additional details.
All right, well, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? I'll call a roll. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? None carried. Thank you, Mike. All right,
Okay, so the next piece of business on the table is to approve the updated application. I took out the outlined edits. I apologize. I kept it as a main one, but basically in our last meeting, we reviewed the application, which basically we took out the pieces that talked about what you need to do when you're awarded. Which requires less paperwork for those who are applying. We then also added Paul into the mix, Paul Tackett, with regards to meeting with everyone who applies for it beforehand so that they understand the full process. And then once awarded, we will also sit with them to make sure that they understand what is needed from that. So really, there wasn't anything really taken out of the application, just shortened for the application process of what I'm going to call a stage 1 of that. Are there any questions?
all right, thank you.
Cut it in half.
We don't need a motion. We did.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, right. Okay, I have an extra thing on our agenda is the EMS squad from Queensberry.
I need a motion on the approval of amending resolution 334 of 2021 to approve the updates and the updated application as presented.
Right, okay, thank you. Mr. Byron, Ms. Runyon. All right, need a motion? To approve
Put the
that
motion.
motion, made a second, Ms. Runyon, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
I oppose. All right. Go ahead, now I gotta move on to the other, we have EMS squad. If you get up to the mic and give us a little talk about what you're doing.
Good morning, I'm Shane Irwin. I'm the chief of EMS for Queensberry EMS, formerly known as Bay Ridge Rescue Squad and North Queensberry Rescue Squad. Last year, May, we started a vendor with North Queensberry Rescue Squad. With the turn, we consolidated one agency, which we spent a lot of money on rebranding. New uniforms, we had to deck out the ambulances, we had to change the name, so on and so forth. Which left us in a little hole this year for special events. One of the biggest events, as we all know, is the Bloom Festival. We had to spend some of our money out of our other financial budgets to compensate what we had to spend. Every year, we usually work it out and stuff with our funding. This year, due to our rebranding, and we have 100 employees now between volunteers and staff, we had to get new uniforms without the same Bay Ridge on it or North Queensberry. So we had to rebrand all our uniforms for special events. On top of that, we had to put on additional paid staff providers because it was a 50th anniversary. So we knew this was gonna be big, so we had to plan big ahead of time. Which in turn that put more hit on our paid staffing budgets and stuff. With that being said, also, we had to feed all of our employees throughout the whole entire event. So kind of I put this thing together real quick. We looked at our budget we went over $7,500 in our budget for extra coverage and stuff. Right now, we're in the process of making changes for next year, so you don't have to see my lovely face next year. This year was kind of hard because a lot of different things. So when I found out about this program, I was like, I'll put it for it, whatever we can get, it helps us. We're sort of tight in our budget as it is for the rest of the year, because again, everything else, rebranding, new uniforms for all these people to cover the Balloon Festival. We even to help offset some of the costs, we had my friends from out west, Finger Lakes EMS and Hangyan EMS, who cover Central New York. They came out to help us. Without them, our paid staffing budget was even more. So this year, we tried to help offset some of the costs. So, but we fell $7,500 short. Next year, I'm more likely we will be all set, because again, the new uniforms that we got this year can be utilized next year. Our food, we're going back to the old days where we had our social members making stuff for us. From lasagna, ziti, making pizza. Sorry, we're been busy in town of Queensbury today. We're already making that process right now for next year to be ahead of the game, so we don't have to come back and help for ask for some support. Any questions?
I don't have a question. I just have an addition to that. This is a municipality application, which we do have funds of $18,935 in the current budget.
Yeah, and if that's, you answered some of my questions,
Yes,
is
sir.
the meals. I mean, I know the county put out money to have meals cooked at the hangar there. Anybody can go into it.
No, the hangar, due to the pigeon issue, they closed the hangar down, so there was no food. In fact, this is the first year I think the open door couldn't do their breakfast because they couldn't cook in there due to DOH issues.
Well, then I apologize because I couldn't make it this year. In my 18th year here, I couldn't make it, but
So.
all right. And we'll see uniforms.
Oh, DPW,
What was it was food?
they didn't tell us that.
Okay, all right, that's, I think that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
The
I think he was referring to the DPW setup, not the hangar that open door.
Oh, that's what I'm, okay, I didn't know about.
For general public,
Okay, yeah.
No, and I just was looking at new uniforms and stuff, don't they have uniforms already for the everyday work? Those are the questions that I'm asking.
Yes.
Because I think, as you'll hear later on in this meeting, we have to do something to start calming it down.
Yeah.
I think we've been very generous over the last 5 years. Big things going on in Lake George, and everybody wants money. Sheriff wants more money, and everybody wants overtime money. And I think we're starting to move out of the realm of what this was really put up.
You put workforce is usually 46 providers, but that's between paid and volley, but due to merging and becoming more active, we hired more people, but now we have 100 people that work for us and stuff, so. Which in turn, you guys spend more money on, like I said, uniform stuff, but like I said, next year, we're right now ahead of the game. We're already planning for next year's events and stuff, so we have to worry about this event.
You get money out of Queensbury.
Yes, so our budget is pretty much slated for active 911 calls. If we have to do anything else, like we cover at Jacobsville, we cover soccer events for the kids, that comes out of our own separate account that we have. That doesn't get tied into, our actual budget and stuff. So a lot of times I try to get my volunteers to go. If not, we have to send a paid provider, but the biggest hit on us is the Balloon Festival. And, every year we're fine. This year we had to put a lot more people on. We took care of 88 people total throughout the whole events. One of them was serious enough that we had to call med control, which means I had to call the 911 the Clements Falls Hospital, talk to the doctor, do some treatments there, and we treated 9 vendors from basic stuff to allergic reactions. And good thing we had extra manpower and stuff, because that helped us a lot, including 2 bike patrol personnel that actually went out and took care of 20 of those calls out there and out in the field.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that's a great, I mean, when I read this, that was one report I think that we as a committee should get every year from all the people that we support to help do that thing. How many people they work with, that you took care of a lot of people in my eyes, so.
We also had two nurses on the scene. One was an RN, another one was a critical care ICU nurse. In Glenville Hospital, who's one of our volunteers also. So we pretty much had the nurses take care of the field hospital for us. So.
And just another note, this just came in recently, just,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're blinking in your back pocket.
Yeah, like I said, we're good.
Okay, but, any comment, Mr. Diamond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned earlier that you went through a rebranding
Yes, sir.
process. What drove the rebranding?
North Queensberry was having a hard time trying to get proper staffing because they're way up north and stuff. With our assistance, they decided let's merge together so we can consolidate both of our assets, all of our equipment, so we can provide better care in the town of Queensberry and the part we cover. In doing so, there was a mutual agreement between the corporation of North Queensberry and the corporation of Bay Ridge. We went through the process, worked out great, and ever since then, we have not dropped a single call up their ways. Because of the short manpower, they're dropping calls left and right.
Okay.
Yes, they're not that busy, but summertime, it blows up big time up there.
So essentially, your budget is you spent $7,500 more than you have in your budget.
Exactly, $7,500 more than what we usually do, because we have a tight budget. Whatever we have like different costs and expenditures, we try to stay in between. Our president's here, she can explain to you more about that and stuff, but we have a 4-quarter type of process where we're going to spend a certain amount of money each quarter.
Did you go to the town of Queensberry and ask them to help you with this shortfall of $7,500?
I believe it was a conversation that we had in the past before.
And what was their answer?
I wasn't there for that. It was more of the administrative type of thing.
Because it sounds to me like it was a rebranding to improve the services that you're offering for the town of Queensberry, which the town of Queensberry is going to benefit.
Well, we've always covered the Balloon Festival no matter what. We've been covered ever since it's been in the airport.
You mentioned, some of your costs that drove the $7,500 was new uniforms for the restructuring of both departments.
I'll let you.
So we did buy new uniforms for everybody in the beginning, but with the Balloon Festival and stuff, we needed specialized, stuff that made us stick out more out in the community and stuff out in the public. So people knew that we were fire or EMS for responders. So.
And to add, because our name changed, we are not permitted to wear gear that says the different agency. So we had to get new gear that says appropriately Queensberry EMS. Whether that was because of our DBA as Queensberry EMS or because once our name change was official and filed with the state. We also in the last several years have never asked for, and we have eaten into our budget before previously and have overspent to make sure Balloon Festival is covered. And we've never asked for help. We've never asked for that extra bit. This year, it just was a perfect storm, hit a little bit harder, and we're a little extra tighter because of the agreement to merge and to make sure that the community itself in its entirety, not just Queensberry, but beyond, because we cover everywhere, was covered and sufficiently so. We don't come asking, without much shame, because we want to be able to say, nope, we got it handled, we're good. We have donations, we're good. But those are even with the economy that we all know we're in, are less. So we don't have that extra cushion that we usually would. So that's why we're asking for this. And we had projected about 8,900 of expenditures, but we only spent 75. So we did cut back where we could. And we didn't put on 5 crews. We had federal and state guidelines that we had to meet that forced our hand on staffing. And people can only volunteer so much nowadays. So we have to make that call, and we can only expect so much of people who need 2 incomes. So that's why we're asking for this extra help this year.
Okay, back to my original question. Did you guys go to the town of Queensberry and ask them to help you with these additional costs?
So my understanding from the previous administrations, their conversations have always been had, but they have always been told either no or It's not our event specifically, so you need to go ask the people who run it. I wasn't a part of those conversations. I can't say definitively, this is all secondhand communication to me. I can't tell you what those conversations were, but we've always been pointed back to go to the county level to ask for the extra help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Rossi.
Fully support this request and effort. I think we have to think about the future as well with special events. For EMS, fire, law enforcement. This is certainly a slippery slope. When one EMS organization requested from ARPA for some funding, the ARPA committee felt it necessary to extend that offer countywide. So I would, there are special events certainly in my town, Men's Falls Fire and EMS. When they have special events, there's a concert tonight at the Civic Center. I don't know, you pay them extra for that. I don't know. So I completely support the request. I think there's a need for it, but I would just ask committee in general to keep this in mind about special events for public safety. And do we need to carve out something unique for that?
Good idea. All right. Any other questions? All right, on the motion, did I get a motion for that? I need a motion to go ahead and prove it. Ms. Ronnie?
I'll second.
Mayor? Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's passed.
Is that money already in your budget?
We have
Yes,
some
I'll
money.
give
there.
you the law.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. All right, what about the sheriff?
On that note.
Yeah.
That you just
Yeah.
brought up, this is during the budget cycle, there was an approval for $100,000 for the sheriff's department. That is not an issue. The question that I asked our chair earlier and just want to confirm with the committee with regards to this, is that $100,000 used outside of events that are funded through the occupancy tax? Because we received an invoice for $115,130.64. If that is the case, and they can be used, for example, Memorial Day weekend and Schroon Lake Marathon. Sorry, that's not it. Yeah, oh, yes, that is.
Right.
And Schroon Lake Marathon, if we can include that, they are also asking for that entire amount for the 15,000 additional to be covered above and beyond the 100,000 that was in the budget. If that is not the decision that was made for the events within the budget cycle, then we would take out both the Memorial Day and the Schroon Lake Marathon, which is about $6,772.69 for a total of $108,357.95, again above and beyond the 100,000. So the first question is what was the intention of the 100,000 to be used for, on existing events or on any events within the county?
It's a good question. My other question, is there any money left over? Like we just gave them 7 something, and you said, how much is that? Can we take some of that money and add it to this budget?
We could.
We could, yes.
And give it to them this time, but after this whole meeting, I got a speech to make about OCTAC, so.
Maybe I can help you with that.
Please.
Maybe go back to the minutes of that conversation. When that conversation took place
Yeah,
during the request to find out what you.
yeah, I think it was in the. I'm sorry.
You know, what the sheriff was requesting the monies for. I don't know what the
Okay,
answer is.
yeah,
But there's certainly got to be a record during the process when he came to the committee and requested the $100,000, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is he essentially spent 115,000.
correct,
Right,
correct.
he's asking for
You
115,000,
awarded him
100.
time 100,000.
Kevin, yes, I'm
Was
sorry.
this money budgeted last year for special events for the sheriff?
Yes, it's in the budget.
You know, he must have, something happened after the budget process went through that he had to add the extra money. I don't know. We just got that too recently.
It is my understanding that it actually was in the budget originally, correct? If Tammy, if I may ask that. Was it, I think 100,000 was
So
in there,
100,000 was in the.
was already in the budget, correct?
And he's presenting that as actual.
Correct. And these are the actual expenses.
Okay, is there any monies in his contingency account? Make up to 15,000?
Well, I think we have some money in that other account that we're talking.
Are you asking for us or for the contingency account on the sheriff's level? Okay. I'm not sure, I apologize.
These would have been expenses that these are for payroll expenses, so his
Yes.
overtime expenses for these special events, so he would have paid this overtime.
Correct.
Regardless of whether or not he's going to get reimbursement for it. I don't know if that answers your question.
It's gonna come from the right hand or the left.
That's
The
Right.
question is Memorial Day expenses aren't tied to any particular event, so they would have been in the past covered in the sheriff budget. That's only a little less than $2,600. But then the Screen Lake Marathon begins in Essex County. And they do come over into Warren County. But it was my understanding, well, what I understood, you know, through the grapevine, that the money was to support our events, the events that we fund. So I don't know if that's correct or not. But these two items would seem to not follow that rationale.
so that part of this money's going for something up there. They should be paying some of it too then, right?
It's their Essex County
That's his
event,
event.
but they come into Warren County in the marathon.
Yes,
But if they come into Warren County regardless, the Essex County Sheriff's Office is not going to come down and police Warren County. So our sheriff's office still has possibly people working overtime to cover the event. That just because it happens to be in our county, it's not going to be funded completely by Essex unless we go back to Essex and say, okay, you have to reimburse us for this overtime as a result of this event. Or we can say, I guess you can't come into our county, you know, that.
No, it's
No, I
just
don't
a
think-
matter of what was the original intention of this money being set aside. Was it for things that we had already sponsored or not? That's my only question. I don't, you know.
Kevin,
Yeah, my question, is it itemized? Is the
Yes.
expenses itemized?
Yes. It is. And so the other events are Americade, Balloon Festival, car show, Labor Day Triathlon. And then it does say July 4th, but there was no OT coverage. So those Americade, Balloon Festival, car show, and Labor Day Triathlon, if you do those 4 events, it's $108,357.95.
You know, I've always advocated that for these special events, the sheriff's department shouldn't come out of the county taxpayers, you know, thing, and it should be spread out by the events. So, I mean, I wish you could stick within the budget, but, you know, I mean, I do support them tapping into the absent tax funds to pay for the overtime.
yeah, I mean, because it's you can't say, you can't do it because it's coming out of.
I also agree with you, Gene. This is getting a little that everybody's gonna come with their, and then we're also, we're gonna run out of.
Well, we've been tracking it and that's why I'm gonna have a little speech at the end of this, so. But I think we should move ahead with this and we got some extra funds in that other fund that we can add to that. So it's 100 comes out of the regular budget and then whatever that extra money that we just give to ambulance squad, we should have some of it.
When's the fiscal year end for this? December 31st?
Yes.
You're not gonna have much left, are you?
All right, so any other, suggestions are, so can I get a motion to move ahead and give them the extra money over the budget? Okay, Mr. Diamond, Ms. Runyon,
May I have a clarification?
Yes.
Is it to move forward with the 115 or the 108?
115.
Thank you.
That's what I think, right? Am I
I
wrong?
want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah. We gotta clean all these up, but starting next year, there's gonna be some changes.
Just another 15, because that's the original. It's $15,130.64.
Okay, so we had what was left, 19? We just gave 7,500 away. So I think we're gonna be short a little bit. What was that figure? we gave you?
No, because the commission was going into the next year. So not all those dollars will be,
Okay,
and that in this current year.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody's all right? All in favor?
The 3 million for the coalition originally was supposed to be expended out by the end of this year. It actually is going to go into January. So that leaves a little bit of money there to be, so usually it was supposed to be all 3 million by the end of the year. They have about another million to expend.
Okay.
And I anticipate that that'll go out December and January. We do have November, but we have large funds coming requesting now.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just need to clarify your motion.
Go ahead.
The motion on the floor is to award an additional $15,134.16 to the Warren County Sheriff's Office.
64 cents, 130.64, yes.
Get the pennies right.
$1.64. Thank you.
All right. All right. So everybody in favor?
Yes,
Okay, opposed? That's passed. You got a second thing here for
One
250.
other thing, again, clarifications, and so this was brought about yesterday for the 250th award. So we awarded a contract to support the 250th commission. And so that commission functions under the organization of the Historical Society. In the contract as it's written now, it's written directly to the historian. The historian is not what I'm going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, an owner of the Historical Society. And therefore, the contract needs to be amended because it currently is listed as between the historian and not the Historical Society. Nothing else changes. Dollars are still allocated appropriately. We just need that to be adjusted so that the funds can be awarded appropriately. Because again, and I believe it's because he is also what was the term that they use? He's a member of the foundation, so you can't award him personally monies, correct?
We treated it as an inter-county transfer because the request was for the historian to receive the funds as a member of the committee. In fact, the committee falls under the Historical Society, which he is a member of. So we need a contract with the Historical Society.
Just changing the wording then.
That is correct.
We're changing the party that's contracting with the county. We're actually entering into a contract with the Historical Society as part of the OCTAX award, which was not done under the original resolution because it was an agreement with another department of the county.
Okay, everybody understand what we're doing? All right, the motion is accept that.
Yep.
Mr. Diamond, Ms. Runyon. All in favor?
aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, so that one's passed.
Thank you all for the additions to the meetings today.
All right, we'll go down to discussion items. Start with the treasurer. You're on board here.
Don't have a report this month because it was just a couple weeks ago that we made the last report, and there really hasn't been any significant change.
Okay. Okay, Occupancy Tech budget review for 2024. That's
Gonna give a quick update of a follow-up from last meetings with regard to Supervisor Diamond having a question with regards to the 2022 actual amount of receivables being $5,556,000, $5,556,000, $628.89. And then looking at why the 2024 department request level is lower than that, which is about a little under 4.5 million. This is a budget number. There are various items that are not included in this. This is based on a $7 million occupancy tax budget. And therefore, 2.5 million went to tourism, and that budget was remaining the same year over year. The remaining dollars, the 4.4, we put into the occupancy tax line. There are two things that are not considered here, and I do believe this number will definitely go up, and anticipating it going above and beyond 2022 is any additional occupancy tax we may receive from the winter events that are happening this year, as well as the return of dollars from the coalition. So those two things are not included in here, and I do believe that these numbers will be higher. But I wanted to get back to the committee to clarify that question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Lake George CBB. Well,
Good afternoon, everyone. We did send this report out in advance of today's meeting, just so you would have some time to at least look at it. I will focus on our key performance indicators so that you can see exactly, at a glance, exactly what we performed over this third quarter and where we've been up to year to date. So the big piece is, distributing 34 leads. And when we distribute leads, what that means is, depending on the meeting, the event, whatever we're working on, depends on where it goes within the county to accommodations and or meeting and event space. Yes, sir.
what page you working from? So we're
I'm
open
on
five.
page 2.
Okay.
So we're going to focus on the key performance indicators because all of the backup, this is that at a glance. So 14 leads or 34 leads were distributed. And 128 year to date. Booked attendees in the quarter was 6,300 booked attendees. We're at 17,000 year to date. And the one thing to look at 2 lines down is the economic impact. When we'd originally done our marketing plan, we really believed that more people would come back for events because we'd seen the growth of events. But we're not seeing that. So those 2 numbers are tied together. Economic impact is obviously affected by the number of attendees per event. So for instance, if America typically has 50,000 people and they only have 35,000 people, that affects our economic impact. So the number of booked attendees is our economic impact is directly affected by the number of attendees. And you can see that. Like we've only booked 53% of our goal, we're only at 57% of economic impact. So I just wanted you to see how that correlates together, because again, it's based on the number of attendees. Definite room nights, we've almost hit our target goal at we're at 16,000 so far year to date. And these numbers are as of September 30th. We still have the fourth quarter to go on that. MeetLakeGeorge.com and where we are with whether it's visits, just always understand between MeetLakeGeorge.com and our social media, it's highly laser focused with regard to a meeting and event sports planner. It's not the leisure traveler or the general public that we're marketing to. We're highly focused on that group, whether it's a bus tour, a wedding, a meeting and event planner, a sports events planner. So that's where our focus is. And our social media and the website for the CBB Meet Lake George is all an extension of Visit Lake George. So there's certain areas that we send people back to Visit Lake George because it's not in that meeting's focus. So just so you understand that. The pages 3. And that is just to show you that those same numbers, but in a draft form. We've had others who say I need that visually versus just the numbers. So that's why that graph is there. Page 4 is specifically what we did in the third quarter, specifically for that. So Alpha Wind Triathlon was a big deal in terms of not only does it come here, but we're also marketing it to get more runners here for that weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. You know, we see a dip that last week, you know, when kids are families are getting ready to go back to school, those families aren't coming here. So the more we can push an event that's here, you know, at the end of the season is a big deal. So that continues to grow. And the marketing that we do on that is focused on Connecticut and Rhode Island, because they're such effective guests when they come here. They stay overnight, they spend more money, they buy more food, those kinds of things for people that come, you know, for that type of an event. The events that occurred in that time that we worked on, that economic impact was 9.9 million of all of the overarching year to date. The group tour market, since we took that over since the beginning of the year, so we booked tours, we booked 10 bus tours to date from 4 different states and Canada, and that's what that is. But you'll also see in other parts of this where that's where we booked to date, but what we serviced this summer that was here, you know, in this quarter, as well as what else new bus tours that we booked in the quarter. Referrals, that speaks to, so for 14 groups that were here in that time frame or that we worked on, we had 150 partner referrals. And what that means is you might be the real property association, which we'll talk about because we had site tours with them and Lexi from our own real property department office here at Warren County. It was a big part of that site tour. But we made referrals, whether it be for offsite events for them, other things that they want to do when they come here next year. So we might have done 14 referrals for that one group. So that's how you get to 150 partner referrals for 14 groups, just so you understand that. And we have a whole system that we use to track that. And then these were all the sporting events that we worked on over the summer. And with always the goal is to grow them. Those sporting events have come back now that other fields and other assets are available to them to utilize during that time frame. Other sales activities in this quarter. We hosted 7 meetings, 5 weddings, booked 9 meetings and conventions during that time, and then secured the bid for the county directors of real property, which the Greene County director of real property is close friend of Heather's, and that's how we brought it to the table to come to Lake George, the area, and then Lexi being very involved, our local director, very much involved in that association, was a big part of the site tours and how to really entertain that group to make it even a better event when they come here next year. So the sporting, you know, we hosted those 6 events while they were here, but then booked 6 other additional events, and that shows up later. And then we've been working with Adirondack Youth Hockey so that they've gotten, and I've spoken about this before, they got rid of their third-party planner, which brings more money to the actual Youth Hockey Association and to more money to our accommodation partners without having a third party. So the CDB did all of the legwork, and now on their website are all their codes, so people can book directly with those lodging properties that will then give back money to that association as part of a rebate. So all of that money just stays locally and not some third party who comes in. Anyway, that's a whole different discussion. The group tour market, this is business that's coming back. That was slow to come back because of the age differential. Those folks who get on group tours are either seniors or students. So that was 2 different types of business that was slow to come back compared to other types of events. But we've been working hard on that and continue those partner referrals, making sure that if they come here, they're getting on a steamboat and they're going to and they're doing other events while they're here. Lake George Dinner Theater this summer was sold out for their first show, mainly the whole time, based on group tours that came here for that. Matinees and evening functions. So that was another event that we were able to sell as an attraction throughout that. Trade show attendance, this is also a big time for us to get out of the area to sell, you know, for future. So you'll see the various trade shows that we attended with the number of prospects, connections, appointments that we had along the way. That's on page 6. Moving on. And then on page 7 is our marketing communications. What did we do to market the destination to meeting and events, sports, weddings, bus tours throughout this time frame? Everything from visitors to the website to blogs written and as well as advertising and digital marketing throughout that. I'm going to jump over to page 9, which is convention services. The one big thing is it's one thing to sell the destination, it's another to service it, just like EMS. If they're not out there in front of everybody and people recognizing that they're safe while they're here, they may think of us as not a safe community. Safety has become a factor all over the country as you read about shootings and other mishaps in other destinations. We're really fortunate that we're safe and that all of our safety folks are very visible. But that goes back to we're always servicing that business with the goal of bringing it back. So convention services, whether it was site visits to get them to come here to servicing them. We had a corporate group that really wanted a volunteerism type activity, which they made backpacks and school supplies for big brothers, big sisters in our community. Other services, whatever those groups needed, it could be everything from welcome bags to a referral. So that, we run the gamut of that. You'll see we're trying to be very visible and on site at events. So it's not just about here, you have a welcome bag. Usually there's someone on our team that welcoming groups as they're at the registration area. And then what can we do for our offsite, specifically when we know that they have time in their conference, meeting, event to do other things in the destination. Usually if you want to talk to a local person, say, what should I do while I'm here? And that one-on-one goes a long way and helps with those expenditures. And then our microsites, basically on any group that we're working with, on their website is a microsite about the Lake George area, Warren County, things to do, places to eat, shopping, all of that good stuff that we want them to do while they're here. And then lastly, we're community and partners. What have we done for our locals? Are an extension of us. We are an extension of every one of you here. Everything from marketing crowd riff is a photo gallery that we share with the community. So any photos that we get that we have rights to, anybody in our community can use them and the media uses them as well. We have monthly meetings with all of our partners. Those always obviously continue. We took our online convention calendar and made sure that that was available because our partners needed to know, when is that bus tour in town? Am I going to get 30 people showing up for dinner that I didn't know were in? So that is a new piece that we've added to Meet Lake George and elsewhere so that you can see those conferences when they're coming into town, like any other events calendar. And then continuing group tours, obviously at the Balloon Festival, that was another big deal, was bus parking. It comes up every year and we just made sure to stay on top of that. And then the rest of this is all of the backup that you'll see, everything from what ads were placed, why, what was that reach, the PR content stream, where did those articles show up? And then and I know it's small, but we try to get every piece of information that's required in our contract. So, what were the groups? What are they year to date? What's their reach? What are the dates? What the value of them, the room nights, the attendees, and the economic impact. So all of those spreadsheets are here. And so I'm sorry that they're small, but as well as every trade show that we went to and to date, we can track all of that in our CRM system. So. Question.
Anybody have any questions for that? Gina, great job.
Thanks. Anyway, thank you. This is Jeff. Sorry.
Heather. Yeah.
Okay, so Corey is going to come until next month. All right. Lake George TV.
everyone.
Hi.
It's gonna be a little different. I'm listening to the way the meeting's going today and the temperature of the meeting, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, ours is gonna be a little bit different. It's not so much a third quarter update as it is a kind of what has happened to us this year. A lot of supervisors have, in conversations that we've had with them, and a lot of people in this room, we've kind of wanted to keep you updated on what we're doing. It's a new venture. It's a little bit out of the box from the usual kind of thing. But we've been very diligent and very responsible in trying to meet all of the expectations and requirements. And that's what we plan to do today. I want to thank you for letting us come in and do this. I know it sounds awful cliched, but you have really been partners with us from the very beginning. When I look back on it, I don't think many people would have maneuvered the minefields that we maneuvered over a year ago when we tried to get this thing launched. Fast forward, we're a year into this, and we have proud to announce that we've succeeded on every major objective that was identified that we were required to do and wanted to do. So today we're going to give you that overview. Many additional details are available, and if we want to do any offsite meetings to dig into any of these details, we're available for that as well. This might have started with me 3 years ago when I had the belief that connected TV and streaming was the future. I knew that this was a unique way of interpreting that and a unique concept. But I also realized that it was a serious marketing opportunity if we could wrap our arms around this. And it wasn't going to happen overnight. I also knew that. None of this would have happened without the team that we were able to build to make this happen. Ed Larkin there is a senior vice president for business development. Over this past year, many of you have gotten to know Ed. Ed and I lock arms. We kind of finish each other's sentences. We have very different skills, but together we are driven by the same sort of principles and the same kind of objectives. When we knew that we had the foundation, pretty much by the time June and July hit, we knew that we had this thing nailed. We knew that we were going to have to maximize our abilities to work with Heather, work with tourism, to work with Gina, to work with the chambers, to work with the CVB. And in order to do that, we're going to need to be setting up some of the marketing principles from the things that we knew to be able to get to consumers, to build awareness. And in my business, it's called sampling. Get them to sample this thing. Once they sample it, then it kind of speaks for itself. So we knew that we needed another skill set. So we reached out to Amanda Metzger. I'm really very proud to say that she's part of our team also, coming in as social media manager. Many of you know Amanda from her many successes with Gina and at the chamber. She's a wonderful mix of creativity and social media marketing skills. There are also other people behind the scenes on this that you don't get to see. Jack Hojoan, Dana Peck, Kim Brent. These are the people behind us that keep us pointed in the right direction. We also have two very substantial relationships with outside companies, Uscreen and IMC. And these are the companies that we rely on to help us build this site and maintain it on a weekly and even monthly basis. To make this work, we've got the right people in all these different places, and I think that we do have them. I'm going to ask Ed and Amanda to kind of provide some context for what I'm saying, give you more details, give you more things to look at. And I think you come to anybody that knows me, knows that you can expect an unusual ending to this presentation, because we made a 4-minute video that I think will set the stage for the personality of what we're talking about. So at any rate, we're prepared to answer any questions that you want. Once again, I'd like to outboard some of the details in other meetings if you'd like. And thank you again for your support and your encouragement. Phase 2 is really what we're in now. Phase 2 is to continue to build this platform, but more importantly, let the world know that this thing exists and that it's here, because it is very unique and it's very unusual. All right, Ed?
Do I have the ability to share?
No. You have to do something, you have to, do I have to request it?
Allowed, it's set up to allow you to share.
So I'm the presenter.
There you go. And then go up there, and then you can source.
Yeah, very good. Great. So what I want to talk you through is where we started, where we are, and where we're going. So I'm going to start that with a timeline. We signed the agreement on November 1st. And the first 3 months were really about building the platform. It was about designing it, building it, testing it. It was about getting the categories defined. It was getting digital assets from the partners that we have in this program. It also was about creating mobile apps, designing and testing those, and doing a lot of meetings and presentations, both here and around the county. And then in January, the project was officially funded. So we kind of paid forward a little bit for their before that actually happened. The next 3 months were about populating the platform. So a lot of advertiser outreach began, and we started sourcing videos both directly and indirectly. I'll kind of explain that in a second. And then the next 3 months were all about the launch. We launched May 1st. We did a ton of PR, we did a ton of marketing, a lot of social media. We took a lot of road trips around the county, and we also continue to source videos. That's just an ongoing thing every single day. And then these last 3 months have been about growing and optimizing it. So again, a lot of PR, a lot of marketing, a lot more road trips. We hired Amanda, social media manager. We did some paid media testing. And then we started to look at what did we learn and how are we doing? How is it growing along the way? And starting to think about phase 2. So one of the things that we knew we were going to be challenged with was sourcing videos. So the first thing we did was to build a dedicated site where advertisers could learn about Lake George TV and they could upload videos to us. And we get about 60% of the videos this way. But we knew that we were not going to get enough content, that there weren't going to be enough advertisers. People are busy. There weren't going to be enough advertisers that were going to activate themselves on this platform through just doing this. So we also started to indirectly source videos. And the way that we did that was by purchasing some third-party programs that enabled us to download content from the various platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And that enabled us to get to that other 40% of content that we currently have on the platform. So, I put this one up here intentionally, the Inn at Earl West. I think probably everybody in this room knew Frank Dietrich and the sad passing of Frank. Well, when we reached out to Inn at Earl West, the last thing on their mind was getting us a video. So we went out and we sourced a video that they already had out there on social media. And we used that video, we downloaded it, we created a listing for them, full description of their place, along with URLs and QR codes back to their website, etc. And then we sent it to them, a link to it, and said, here you go. This is ready to go. If you're okay with it, let us know. If you want any changes, let us know. If we're good to go with this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some social media posts to get some attention to you folks out there. And they were very, very appreciative. And that's been true of all of the advertisers that we've done this for. So we were able to populate the platform to where it is today. But we also knew that just getting content was not enough. We also knew that we were going to need to build awareness. We were going to need to get buy-in from the advertisers. We were going to need to partner with the advertisers. And the best way to do that was to do boots on the ground and do face to face. So we've conducted over 85 meetings and presentations around the county. Everybody from, EDC to Warrensburg beautification, and from Tri-Lakes to the winter experience folks we've met with. So, and many of these folks we've met with actually multiple times. We've also driven, I calculated about 1,000 miles plus across the county, doing door to door, walking into businesses and saying, have you heard about Lake George TV? Here, let me show you it on my phone. You can see what it's all about. By the way, your county has funded this for you. So we did a lot of that. We also sent out over 3,000 emails. So through this process, we were able to build awareness. We were able to solicit videos. We were able to also build a spirit of what I call co-opetition. Businesses are in competition with each other, but we've gotten them to cooperate with each other and to create this platform that tells the collective story of Warren County. That was our intention from the beginning. So I call it co-opetition, if you will. The end result is that we now have a very robust platform. So we have a platform that's available on web, it's on Roku and Apple TV, it's on iOS and Android mobile apps, and really any smart device you can get it. So it's populated, it works, consumers seem to love it, businesses really appreciate it. We knew, though, that one of the key metrics that we were going to be judged on was going to be the number of advertiser videos. That's something that we agreed to. So this shows you in yellow the benchmarks that we've had along the way, and the green shows you the actual number of videos. So the first benchmark that we needed to hit was July. And I believe it was about 230 videos was our target, and we had 350. And as you can see, these are starting to come much more in line, which they should by this time of the year. So, so we're feeling very good about the growth of the videos and our outreach there. The next thing, so the platform was built, the videos are there. I want to look at the growth of users and interactions. On the left are users, on the right are interactions. Essentially what we see is nice, steady growth throughout these last 12 months. And with a nice bump at the end. And I kind of attribute that bump to a couple things. One is social media, both the social media that we were doing and then the addition of Amanda and all the social media that she's been doing. Secondly, some of the paid testing that we have done. We've seen some tremendous results from that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then also just viral growth. So I discovered Lake George TV. I tell Jesse about it. Jesse tells two friends, and so on and so on and so on. And that's how a platform like this works, is largely through viral growth rather than just everything being, paid media kind of thing. So they're coming. It's populated. We wanted to take a look at what are they doing. So we wanted to look at the video seconds watched and the click-through rate that we've seen since launch. And again, what we see is nice steady growth, some nice acceleration. At the end, we want to see acceleration, obviously. What's interesting about this is that the length of video time is actually down a little bit. When we first launched, most of the videos were they were about 1 minute and 20 seconds, a little bit on the long side for this kind of format. That's been going down. We're getting videos that are 15 and 30 seconds long. So the actual average video time has gone down a little bit, but the watch time of consumers continues to go up, as does the click-through rate, which ultimately is our goal, because it's lovely that people come to the platform and they watch videos, but ultimately we want them to click through on the links or scan the QR code, go to the advertiser's page, website, book a hotel reservation, make a restaurant reservation, buy tickets, find out where that event is, or buy something. I mean, that's what this is all about. Ultimately, is that we want to see those click-through rates. So we're seeing nice acceleration on that as well. So essentially, they're coming, they're watching, they're interacting with the platform, and they're acting upon it the way that we wanted them to. We wanted to look at how they're accessing the platform. So how are they coming into it? The majority of folks you can see come in on Safari. So that's iOS, Apple, iPhones. And that's where the majority of folks are coming in, is on these mobile devices. But there's also folks coming in on Chrome. So that's largely Windows, computers, laptops, things like that. And then there's also a big chunk with Android, so Google. For people that don't use iPhones, they use a Google Android device instead. But what I find interesting about this is that is how big the mobile device usage is. So folks aren't just accessing this platform and interacting with this platform when they're sitting in front of a computer at home. They're doing it sitting on the couch and scrolling through their phone. And they're doing it when they're on the go, and they're doing it when they're here already to see, hey, okay, so I got here. Now what do I want to do while I'm here? What's going on this weekend that I want to check out? So another thing that we wanted to look at is where they are coming from. What you see here is that the majority of folks are coming from that 300-mile, that 3-hour radius. That is kind of the sweet spot, the target spot of Warren County tourism. So they're coming from New York City, Montreal, Boston, Syracuse, Buffalo, Philadelphia. You got some more local, Albany, Saratoga, et cetera. It's spread across, some of the smaller areas too. But the important point being that the majority of folks are coming, it mirrors that target geographic area that we look for Warren County tourism. So we kind of, I know I'm going real fast here, by the way. So we've talked about, where we started, where we are, now I want to talk a little bit about where we're going, sort of, phase 2, if you will. And we really have a 4-pronged strategy in phase 2. It's it's based on maximizing our existing opportunities and creating some new opportunities. So this 4-pronged strategy involves social media, key partners, some new consumer outreach, and some paid media as well. So it's really a 4-prong attack. The first thing I want to talk about is our key partners, because they are very, very important to us. One of our rock star key partners, definitely Warren County. If you look, if you go to the Warren County homepage, you go to the upper left-hand corner, you see lakegeorge.tv. It's very easy to find us. They've been terrific about reposting all of our PR stuff. On the right, you can see some of the social media that they've done. They've really been a terrific partner in helping us to get the word out. And we try to reciprocate that whenever we can. So we like each other's stuff. We share each other's stuff. We follow each other, all of that. It's all about kind of working together collaboratively to make this the best it can be for everyone. Another rock star is definitely Lake George Regional Chamber. LGRCC has been also a rock star partner. The placement on their website is right on the homepage. It's branded, it's obvious, it's easy for people to find us. We try to reciprocate whenever we can with that. We're putting them on the front page of our platform as well. They've done blogs, they've done curated emails where we've been featured in the content, all kinds of things. And again, social media being a key part of this. So working collaboratively to help each other out. And also to utilize those investments that the county has already made, really, and to maximize the value of those. We're really trying to help each other out to do those things. Another key partner, obviously, is obviously tourism. So tourism has been another great partner of ours. On their current website, we're kind of down the bottom, and it's kind of a little small to find, but the good news is that they're doing a website redesign. So we've been talking with Heather and her team, and we're going to work closely with them to try to make sure that we have a little bit more prominent placement when they do a redesigned website. So another one of our key partnerships is our advertisers. Again, this is about utilizing existing opportunities. We have hundreds of advertisers at this point. So what we've distributed to them are, and I forgot to put them out, are these tent cards. Yeah, you want to put a couple of, and there's posters behind you. But we've printed up both large and small posters. We've also created these tent cards. So there's a lot of hotels and motels around Warren County that if you go into one of the guest rooms, you're going to see one of these tent cards. And that's really been great. I mean, we've delivered them to folks and they're like, well, I've got 12 rooms. I need 12 of them. Well, why don't you give me 14? Because people take them for some strange reason. So give us some extras as well. So we're trying to utilize those opportunities. And what's interesting is that people who come into the platform through a referral like this, if you come in through organic search, you just find Lake George TV and you start interacting on the platform, you might engage at a rate of 65 or 70%. But people who come in this way, these are fans of businesses who have clicked on or scanned one of these links and gone to our platform. They have an engagement rate of over 85%. It's fantastic because they're fans. They want to be here. They want to learn about it. They want to be engaged. They're active and engaged people. So we try to really maximize our opportunities there. We've also given them digital banners that they can use in their social media. The other thing is that whenever we get a new video from someone, we post about it on social media. And it may be somebody who's never been on the platform before, or it could be somebody that just sent in a new video. You know, maybe they're open for lunch. Or they have a special event. That doesn't count as their single video. That can be a separate video that they send us because they're having a special event. So they've been, the advertisers have been really great partners for us. Another new opportunity we're trying to take advantage of is CVB. You know, we just, Gina and her team have been great. We've started talking with Megan and Lexi, looking for opportunities where we can work with the CVB. So they're a conduit for visiting groups. So they have massive reach and they do these goodie bags when groups show up. So that's a great viral take home opportunity, because not only are you getting yourself in front of the attendee, but they're going to take stuff home and show it to their friends, and their friends are going to see it, that kind of thing. Again, it's that you tell two friends and so on and so on and so on. So we've developed a bookmark that we're going to test out, see how that works. We're going to put it in the goodie bags. On the left, this is sort of our sense of humor. On the left is, you know, during the day when you're in your meeting, you got to sit straight, pay attention, and agree with everything. But after 5 o'clock, that's your time. You can let loose, make friends, and just make sure you deny everything. So, again, we're looking for opportunities to maximize the existing investments that not only that we've made, but also that the county has made. With that, I want to turn it over to Amanda to talk a little bit about our social media.
Yeah, just real quick, wanted to share some stats with you. I've had the opportunity to work with Jesse and Ed for a couple of months now, and on a personal note, was really excited to work on this project because I've never seen a platform like this for destination marketing that has video content all in one place. It's usually, my planning trips usually involves going all over the place on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and websites and YouTube. So it's nice to have everything in one place. In the past couple of months, we've seen 50,000 reach on our social media, and our Instagram following went up about 50%. So this is all organic efforts. So I'm really excited to see where we can take this in phase 2 after just some testing that we've been able to do in the past couple of months. And I'll give it back to Ed.
All right. Oh, wait, do you want to talk a little bit, Amanda, about this? Because we also were talking about the
Sure.
outreach.
Yeah, so another exciting thing that we're doing in phase 2 is a sweepstakes. And, you know, why do we want to use a sweepstakes to market Lake George TV? So it's called the What Will You Discover Sweepstakes. And of course, there's quantitative reasons we want to do this. It helps get people's attention, creates awareness about Lake George TV. And of course, we want to capture people's information so we can retarget to them. But from a qualitative perspective, a sweepstakes provides a form of marketing that gets people excited, gets them dreaming about, you know, what could they win? What could they do when they come here? So we get them to enter that what if I win mindset. They start imagining themselves here, and that's why we love using this type of marketing. Sweepstakes provides exposure for the Lake George area, adds that element of excitement. So we're really excited to launch this and put a, you know, targeted strategy behind it so that we can collect some good user data and retarget them, and also share that with the businesses that take part.
Thanks. Yeah. So the other thing that the fourth prong that I had mentioned was paid media. So I wanted to show you a little bit about results and reach that we've seen so far there. Something that we've learned is that branding it doesn't work. You'll get people to click through, but the cost per click is much too high and the engagement rate is very low. There's no point in just putting ads out there. Like, hey, this is great, check it out. It's much better to use it for things like events. So this is some slightly redacted for confidentiality purposes. Results from a boost that we did for a couple weekends ago for the Gore Harvest Fest. We did that in conjunction with the Lake George Oktoberfest. And for basically very little spend, we were able to reach almost 18,000 people. Imagine that, 18,000 people who suddenly learned about the Gore Harvest Fest. was tremendous. So we know that events work, and sort of specialty advertising like that definitely works. And you can see below, it was right in our target demo. Same thing with the income ranges were right where we wanted to see them. So it was very, very successful. I want to go.
I just have a quick question. How are you choosing who to feature in your marketing?
That's a good question. So this was testing. So we picked a couple of big events that were coming up that we thought would get a good result. Yep, exactly. So the other thing is that I want to go back a couple slides and just remind you of what we saw with Montreal being a nice big chunk. Something that was interesting is we hadn't seen that before. We had seen New York City, we had seen Buffalo, we had seen Syracuse, but we hadn't seen Montreal as being very prominent. And it came up as the #2 area because of this event and because of the Lake George Oktoberfest. So it really, really drove engagement in an area that we had not seen before. And that was kind of tremendous to see that happen. And it did it at a cost per click that was 80% below the industry average for tourism and hospitality cost per click campaigns. So we were extremely pleased with those results. And that's why we're thinking about, not only retesting this, but really rolling it out as well. As far as the boosted reach that we saw, that also was tremendous. As Amanda mentioned, up to almost 50,000 reach. So it's growing our followers, our shares, our likes. More viewers equals more visitors, basically, with this platform. That's the way it's going to work in the long term. So we built it, we populated it, we launched it, we're growing it. Consumers love it. Businesses seem to really appreciate it. We feel that we've had a very successful year one, and at the same time, we feel like we're just getting started. So thank you for your support. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jesse.
I know. How it's gonna take.
One of the differences between Ed and myself, of course, is that he brings up his laptop and I bring up my notebook. That should show you something. Hey, thank you for bearing with us. We weren't certain about the time frame on this. We're motoring through this. We actually have 4 minutes left, okay? And I
I
hopefully,
gave you 4 minutes, I thought.
yeah, no, we got 4 minutes. So look, it's very typical of us, and we wanted to show you this. It's been a great partnership. It's been a very unusual year. And we put together a video. My background is History Channel, Comedy Central, or whatever. And one of the fundamentals I learned way back is that, marketing is about personality. So, every once in a while, let's have a little fun, maybe a little self-effacing humor. You might recognize some of the faces in this video. It really is literally 4 minutes long. The other thing I want to say, there's a car scene in this thing, and poor Ed Larkin. That's all I have to say. All right, Tony.
This major glacial pace, you know how that thrills me. Yeah.
Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Really? Amazing.
Unless you know what you're getting into. I really just kind of guessing. I know what to look for. Oh, that's great. This is cool. It's got locations, events. Yeah, this is nice because, you know, normally you're just looking for stuff to do all over the place and if it's ads and stuff. This is just nice to have everything in one space. Every one of you listening to my voice. That means that everybody where they are. Look to the skies everywhere. Keep watching the sky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done. See, will you send us a copy of that presentation so we can share it with the supervisors?
Sure, of course. Yes. Are there any comments? I know we're on.
One question, what was the initial investment of the county? You remember?
It's not an initial, it's an ongoing, it's based on a subscription model. I think that, I don't want to misrepresent because I haven't looked at the contract since last year.
The point is, I think we invested so much. This is an absolute clear return on the investment. Congratulations. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever, Jim. Any other comments? All right, you got any referrals there, Heather? No referrals. I'll open the privilege to the floor. Any comments? All right, before I call the motion to adjourn, I just got a quick thing. You know, working with Heather last few months has been really uplifting and knowledgeable. And we're working together on this OCTAC stuff. And we're finding out that we're going to have to come up with a solution to bring some of the expenses of this OCTAC that we give out. It's costing a lot of money, and I don't want to run out of money. This is only something to think of. It's not no voting right now, but I'm thinking about starting the first of the year, anything that comes in, forever, should maybe like 10% less. So if you put it for 50,000, you get 45 for next year, just next year. We got to start catching up on some of the money that we keep in reserve. Because we're spending it faster than we're making it. And I'm afraid we have one bad year. You know, this is just a thought. Because everybody just makes it sound when we're giving police, so they take care of us, EMS, so they take care of us. A lot of money was out there. And I think it's time that we take a little more time and looking at some of these suggestions and reasons why people want money. That's only a thought. And I think, I don't know, Lisa is smiling because I think she agrees with me, I hope. Because she keeps telling me, watch out for this, watch out. And she keeps good. Her mind was on our tax money and the way we do things. And now that Paul's joining that part of the team, we got to come up with a just to be careful type of thing. It's getting to a point, we spent a lot of money this past year. I hope a lot of summer and the winter stuff, the two big things that we're investing in, works out for us. Because we need the investment back. So it's just something to think of, no resolutions, no nothing. We'll bring it up another time, maybe we'll discuss it. So, all right, well, and thank you all for coming. A motion adjourned. Mr. Rossi, Ms. Ryan. We're adjourned. Thank you all. And it's a great presentation.